Richard, what do you think of Brentford's season so far?
Obviously, it's been fantastic so far. It was having seen Brentford in the past after they've had we had a pretty good season. Obviously, quite heartbreaking at the end of it, but up to that point to actually be challenging for an automatic promotion place and then in the playoffs. In the past sometimes, I remember, for instance, the 2005-2006 season. After that disappointment in the playoffs, after a pretty good season, a lot of the good players got sold or whatever, and the manager went, and the next season we went down. So I think what's interesting here at the moment is that you didn't get that feeling this time. You almost felt, well, we didn't do it this time, but I reckon we can do it next season. And that's what's been going on. There's no kind of like, right, oh, that's it, we had our shot. It's kind of like, no, we're going to build on that, and you almost feel that this season, they're stronger for it. The mentality's stronger for it. Maybe a little at the start of the season, a bit touch inconsistent, but they've really been motoring recently, and to be top of the league over Christmas was fantastic. It's not something you can often say being a Brentford fan. They always give their all, but to be top of the league and playing well, what more do you want?
And of course, they are riding high, as you say. What can they achieve for the rest of the season then? Do you think it's an automatic place, or championship winning side, or playoffs?
I think I think anything can happen. I think it's been a bit weird Division 1 over the last few years because you've had a lot of big clubs in there. You've had you've had Norwich, Charlton, you've got Wolves in there at the moment. Sheffield United obviously not doing well, but there's a big club with a lot of history. All those and Forest not so long ago, and you sort of sit there going, well, wow, they must have the sort of resources they'll have. Where can you fit into that? You almost sort of go, well, they're probably going to be top 3. But you know what? There's a lot of teams who are playing really well, and who perhaps haven't been up to those heights. So you kind of sit there and go, right, well. But I honestly think the way they're playing, anything can happen. It'd be interesting. There's a really big game coming up against Wolves. If we can get something out of that, and if we can just keep doing what we're doing, I think anything's possible. I mean, you don't like to tempt fate, really, but.
And of course, this season there's been a managerial change halfway through the campaign. Either of us are going up to Wigan. What have you made of the new managerial change now?
Well, I was, I have to admit, when Uwe announced he was going, I was a bit disappointed. I thought at the time he could have waited to the end of the season, hopefully got us promoted maybe, and no disrespect to Wigan, maybe then he could have gone on and to a club who was on their uppers perhaps rather than their downers, but I'm sure he'll turn it around there and do really well. So yeah, I was a bit disappointed about that because I thought when he came in it was a really interesting choice, and it showed a real kind of creative thinking from the people here, like thinking about outside the box, about getting people in, and trying to being quite ambitious. But Warburton, he's obviously kept the continuity there, and all he's done is win games really. So, a bit of a slip up last week, but it wasn't really a slip up; it was a draw and against a tough side. So, I think it's testament really to the setup here at the moment. You feel like that, they really have got ambition and they've really got a plan. They've really got it together. What with the club doing well, there's been a management change, but it seems to have been fairly seamless. The new ground, it's really exciting to be a Brentford fan at the moment, I think.
And talking of excitement, in terms of on the pitch, which players have excited you this campaign?
Well, obviously, Clayton Donaldson always seems to be putting him away for us. So, you always like a goal scorer, don't you? But yeah, you see, I think it's why I quite like to see is for some of those sort of lone players as well. They seem to stick around. They seem to enjoy playing here. It's quite a clever way of getting in, interesting players, talented players without perhaps the expense of signing them, again, I think it's quite a testament to the way they're trying to do things here, really, that, obviously bringing through young players and also getting some, a mate of mine was having a go at me because obviously we've just got Akpom on on loan from Arsenal, and he's saying, you know, he's one of their great hopes over at Arsenal, and to have him here playing at Brentford, you know, I know he's been coming on as a sub, but you know, that's brilliant to see those sorts of players coming through, you know, and playing here.
Going back through the years, then, how did you first become a Brentford fan?
I was about, I don't know, 6 or 7, something like that, and I when I was a kid, I was a Liverpool fan, because obviously Liverpool were winning everything at the time, and when you're a kid, you tend to support the teams that win everything, and I always identified myself with Alan Hansen, because I used to play in defence and he was lanky, so I thought, yeah. So, but obviously this is my local club. My cousin used to work here, and one Christmas he bought me and my brother a Brentford scarf each, and for my birthday the following January we came here. It was the first time I'd ever been to a football game, to a football ground, and you know, it was like, wow, this is amazing. They're really big, really exciting. I think we beat Walsall. Funnily enough, we drew to them on my birthday just last week. So, and you know, and it was really exciting. You know, and you know, a few years pass, and you get a bit wiser, and you think to yourself, you know, this is not right supporting a team you've never even been there, and you sort of feel like you want to support your local side, and you've got family connections, and then you come here, and you know, a bit more aware of what's going on, and you really appreciate the atmosphere here, and you really appreciate the feel of the club, and the feel of the, you know, you really feel like you belong here somehow. With, you know, it's just a real kind of much more intimate kind of atmosphere, and you know, you go to some of the bigger Premiership games, and they can be a little bit soulless. Yeah, the football on display is, you know, is often amazing, but you kind of, I don't know, you don't often, you could almost be watching it at home on a TV screen sometimes. So.
And how often do you come to games now? And obviously you're busy diary.
Yeah, not as much as I'd like, you know, and but we, you know, try and get down occasionally, especially, you know, obviously a bit of a glory hunt whenever there's some, you know, a bit of a, you know, a crunch game or a cup game, get down. But especially the last year, actually, we've been really busy, so not as much as I'd like, especially when they're playing so well. You know, that's when you want to be down here.
Cool. And finally, who's your all-time Brentford hero?
I'm going to say J-Tab, because he sort of, like, you know, came up through the youth ranks. He played here. He's you know, really competitive midfield player. Gave his all. You know, always gave his heart and soul for the club. Scored quite a few goals, and you know, I became friends with him, and he's obviously moved on to you know, other clubs from now, but he's still kind of like, you know, he's Brentford through and through, I think, you know, and he's a really nice guy, and I think that, you know, he's had that real sort of never say die attitude,